Welcome to my channel to everyone who's new here, and of course to those of you who are back again, great to have you here. Bitcoin is currently trading at $116,550. In this video we will take a look together at possible scenarios for the price development of Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP and Solana. Things remain exciting, so make sure to watch until the end. So I haven't done a video yesterday because yesterday the market looked short to me. I didn't see any kind of chart patterns which developed. We just broke to the downside. So when was it? It was with this sell-off. So we got the Fed rates and the Bank of Japan. None of them decreased the rates. So basically, it's like the market forecasted. That's why nothing happened much. This sell-off here is nothing compared to what would have happened if the Fed increased their rates. Then we would get far lower. Probably even into the bear market. If the rates are going to decrease, then I think this would have been the breakout and a new all-time high for Bitcoin. So we have to wait for the next Fed rate decision. Anyway, Bitcoin didn't break to the downside yet. We got here a long wick. But what we want to see is a sustainable breakout, means we want to see quite a push to the downside over several hours, then a retest. And if I don't want to jump into a trade while we have the retest, because, for example, we have here fair value gap, not a big deal. I can also wait for the follow through, means a candle close lower than the breakout. So anyway, none of them happened for Bitcoin. I don't want to say yet, but it looks like we have to see. So basically, if this is going to be a higher low to this one, then everything is good. And we have the chance to break to the upside as well. But for that, we have to break the currently 119,000 US dollar. So last week, we had our breakout point right here at $120,200. Now we can get into a long position earlier once 119,000 breaks to the upside. I don't think that we are going to break it to the upside today, maybe over the week or next week, depending if we are going to get a chart like this. Then we can even get a better entry for Bitcoin, because once this green trend line breaks to the upside, then I think the chance is very high that we see a new all-time high for Bitcoin. What if we break to the downside? And here's the price mark at the moment, 116,250 US dollar. Then I think those huge fair value gaps are going to get filled. So let me take this one out and I will make it good, like this. So if we break the 116,250 US dollar to the downside, then I think 112,000 US dollar is going to be the target. But if we lose the 112,000 US dollar to the downside, for that we have to go into the 4 hours chart. And you can see it in orange. We have already a big bearish chart pattern, which is this rising wedge. If it breaks to the downside at currently 112,000 US dollar, then the target is going to be 83,000 for Bitcoin. But I think we have here a support trend line, we have here a support box. We can also bounce there. We have to see what kind of other chart patterns we're going to develop, and then we can predict the price movement far more precise for Bitcoin. But like I said, 116,250 US dollar, if they hold, no problem, we can still break to the upside. If we break to the downside, 112,000 US dollar is going to be the target. And from here, we have to see if we break to the downside. If we get to 112,000 US dollar, we have to see if we are also going to hold that support and push for a new all-time high and break the rising wedge to the downside on a later time. Means we just get another touch point, another push, and then the breakout. Same happened here. We got the push, we got consolidation within the bull flag, and we still got a new push. This can happen, in my opinion. But once we break the rising wedge to the downside, then I think we have to look for a bigger pullback for Bitcoin. So let's jump into the next coin, Ethereum. So what about Ethereum? Nothing much happened. So basically what I'm looking for is breaking, getting our retest, because we broke here to the downside. This looks like the retest. If the retest is working, then the target, in my opinion, is going to be the 3,600 US dollar, but we can also we have here a fair value gap between 3,650 US dollar to 3,685 US dollar. So if we sell off into that area, there I expect a small bounce. And then we have to see if we get over certain levels again, then we can push more to the upside. Or if we are going to sell into the 3,550 US dollar, there we have the next support. If this trend line breaks to the downside, that's why it's red. The chance is very high that we are going for the fair value gaps, which we have lower than that. And we have to predict that with the chart pattern where it's going to direct us. So I don't see anything bullish for Ethereum. I would change that once we break here over those two tops to the upside, which is the price mark of 3,883 US dollar. Then I think 3,980 US dollar is going to be the target. Afterwards, 4,090 US dollar. If we also break it to the upside, then we can see the target, which I have for Ethereum overall, is between 4,400 US dollar to 4,586 US dollar. But we have to break certain price marks to the upside before we can even imagine getting into the top area. So what about XRP? XRP didn't break to the downside. So we have said we need a breakout lower than $3. Here was exactly the touch point. So we went into the $3, but we didn't break it to the downside. Instead, we got a nice push. So what now? I think we are currently in some kind of a box. So if we don't include this wick here and we use this, then this here is a rectangle in my opinion. And we can just take the target of it like this. So if we break the $3.17 to the upside, then we should see the $3.30 again. We got here rejected once, and here we would also get rejected twice in my opinion. We also have the good chance getting to $3.36. XRP would be very bullish to me once we break the $3.36 to the upside, because we have here fair value gap. This should get closed. We would get also a higher high than this one and this one. So we have here a high, we have here a higher high, and here would be another higher high, and probably most likely here also another higher high. So that's why I would wait for the $3.36 to be completely bullish, but I can try a long position once the $3.17 breaks to the upside. I have also, I think last week it was, a possible inverted head and shoulders formatation, which can develop. I'm going to take this one out of the chart. This didn't work. This was also very speculative. We didn't even see that on the chart. But we have to see. Maybe this is going also to be a double bottom pattern. If that is the case, then I would still wait for the $3.36, and then we can also measure the length, put it here then to the breakout point, and it would get us to $3.75 for XRP. So what if we break the $3 to the downside? If we break the $3 to the downside, then, and I want to see a breakout lower than the wick here. So I want to see a push lower than the low here. Afterwards, a retest of the $3 again. Then I think we have the good chance getting to $2.66. And this is, in my opinion, worth shorting. I think this is minus 10%. Yeah, even minus 11%. So 11% without leverage is possible here. If we also lose the $2.66, then we can drop to $2.47, where we have the next support for XRP. So Solana is the only coin which is currently having some kind of an falling wedge. There we have one touch point on the upside, one here, then a second one on the upside, and a second one to the downside. Since we have 2-2, it's pretty okay for me. I want to see actually 3 touch points or more to be more confident about that chart pattern. But since this chart pattern is the only bullish one, we don't see it for XRP, we don't see it for Ethereum, and we don't see it for Bitcoin. If Bitcoin is not going to break the $119,000 to the upside, means our green trend line, which I have showed you 5 minutes ago, then this is not going to happen. We have to see Bitcoin breaking to the upside, so Solana is going to have the strength breaking this chart pattern to the upside. If Bitcoin sells off, then the price targets are ongoing, $164 to $158 for Solana. So what I also want to show you with Solana is Solana is short to me, and I'm also in a short position for Solana. But first, let me take out this chart pattern. This didn't work. This was also a small one and very sharp one. And let me take out this one because I would take it because so I went into a short position right here. What did I do? I put a stop loss order at least over $181 and 83 cents. I even gave the trade a bit more space, over $185. So this push can happen and we can still sell off. This is not going to invalidate the bearish scenario. We already broke to the downside here once. Here is second time. This retest failed, but this was here the follow through to this one. So basically it looks like a sustainable breakout. The market just went up because Bitcoin was exactly as support and got there a bounce. That's why the altcoins also made their bounce. But this bounce also cooled down the RSI. You can see it, what kind of impulsive push the RSI got. Now we have space to the downside. We are not oversold yet. If we go into the 4-hour chart, then you can see that here was the first sell-off. Here was a correction to the sell-off, means this small push here. And now we have a lot of space to get lower than 30 in the RSI, and then we would be oversold. But getting lower than 30 in the RSI can mean that we are going to drop into the $158. There I expect a bounce. If we also break it to the downside, and I have to make it like this, then you can see, okay, we have a small support box. This one here. I will show you why I picked that, because here we got a bounce, here we got 2 times a bounce, here we got a small bounce, here we got a breakout, retest, follow through, again over the box, retesting it, support, here 2 times support. So this box is very important. I will give you here the price marks for it. $145 to $139. What can happen is we sell off to $158. This can mean that Bitcoin maybe is at $112,000 if we break to the downside. Then we have to see, maybe we are even going to form such a bullish reversal, or we also lose the support at $158. Then we should drop into this purple box, and afterwards the next support is at $126. So here is, if we break to the downside, and the maximum I think should be the purple box, here is still minus 20% possible. I don't see it at the moment. We have to break down. The only thing which we have here right now is in head and shoulders formatation, which already broke to the downside. Target is going to be 164 US dollar if we take the length of one shoulder, and if we take the length of the whole head, then $159.80 is going to be the target. But like I said, $158.20 is support, and you can see quite often how often we got rejected there. Here we got even one time support, here we got rejected again, here we got twice support, and here we got rejected again. So this price level is one of the most important key levels to hold. If we lose it, then we have to see and we have to think about far lower prices for Solana. So with that said, thank you for watching, and we see each other in the Sui, Avalanche, HBAR and Dogecoin update.